Back for another edition of In the Huddle. Carl Dukes put them up along with Jason Canfora, Brian Baldinger. Guys, it is all about the NFL, and we appreciate you being here and checking us out. Fellas, I mean, the league continues to surprise us, I think, in some ways. This week, obviously, we saw a lot of movement around the National Football League. And Jason and Baldy, I want to start there because, here the Chiefs are chasing history, a potential three-peat. They're 6-0, and Jason and I talked about this, coming off the win against San Francisco, where Mahomes didn't play well. But here they are with their front office attempting to give him more tools to make this happen, and they make a deal for DeAndre Hopkins. How big of a deal is this, Baldy, and how much does it help him?
Well, it's a big deal. Look, I was there Sunday in San Francisco, and they did not play well, but the defense continues to show up. Mahomes has won, Jason, 11 or 12 in a row right now, going back to last year.
Yeah.
12 in a row now.
Since Christmas. It's losing to the Raiders at home on Christmas.
Okay, so the thing is, you can look at the stats, and Patrick, and they're real. Like, the interceptions are not good. But honestly, like, he made every big play. That game was 14-12, fourth quarter. Like, it's in the balance, and he takes off for one of his scrambles. Yeah. He goes through 33 yards down the sideline, and it sets him up for the touchdown run of his, where he trucks the safety, Malik Mustafa, and just trucks him in the end zone, flips the ball. They get an interception. He throws a touchdown. Like, there they are. Like, they put the game on ice. He still makes – in fact, I was talking to Brady about it before the game, just his instincts. And can you teach that, Tom? Like, can you learn that? And he's like, absolutely not. Like, you either have that – and then he told me some instances of where his instincts just took over. And he doesn't know why he did what he did, but he got out of harm's way and made a play. He's just – so what you do is when you got your MVP, you just never stop building around. Juju Smith-Schuster went down a hamstring first quarter last week. Rashee Rice goes down 2 weeks ago. Xavier Worthy's a nice piece, but that's what he is. Little guys, unless you're Tyreek Hill, they don't really change the game. They're hard to find. And so – one thing about DeAndre, he's big, he's got great hands. He doesn't separate much, but he doesn't have to. And so I think he's a really good fit for what they want to do.
Jason, how much does this help Kelsey, in your opinion, or will it?
I mean, I think it helps everybody. It's another big target. Can it be a factor in the red zone? I mean, the red zone, they obviously need help with the passing game in the red zone. So yeah, maybe it takes a little pressure off Kelsey. Maybe it draws a little more attention. Like, the guy I think they miss is Jerick McKinnon. Like, I still think Christian Kirk that's the piece that, like, you had DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Kirk with that defense, with everything else, forget about it. Like, that's So we'll see. I'm not sure they're done. I mean, there's been so much action, right? Yeah. That we're kind of like looking around. Still 2 weeks till just under 2 weeks till the deadline. So they just know how to win football games. And does DeAndre Hopkins help them win football games? Sure. Absolutely.
It's interesting, Jason, with Mahomes struggling and then the receivers that have just gone down, Hollywood, Rashee, Juju, whatever. Like, for the first time I can ever remember in Andy's 26 years of coaching, they've actually run it more than they've thrown it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but if you look at that, there's a trend there. Like Baltimore, obviously, but Buffalo. You go around this league right now, and you look at these teams that are winning. Detroit, like, they're running it more than they've thrown it. You probably have a lot of the numbers, Jason, but I'm just looking at this trend where, look, there's not great quarterback play in this league right now.
No.
And so teams are having a hard time getting the ball deep. Obviously, maybe Tua, we'll get to it, but maybe Tua changes things in Miami, but Tyreek is invisible. So teams are, like, leaning on the run more than I've ever seen it. And the teams that are winning and winning well are running it more than they're throwing.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, and by the way, as we look at the Chiefs and the moves that they've made, they have the Raiders this week. You got to feel good about them going 7-0. Raiders are a mess. And here's the question, as we talk about the trade deadline, just to tie this into the Chiefs. Is Maxx Crosby going to remain a Raider?
Well, he has told me on countless times that he wants to be a Raider for life. Now, they're asking him these kind of questions because it's out there. And obviously, went to Eastern Michigan. You got Detroit right there needing a guy just like Maxx to probably put him over the top right now. but it's not his decision. I mean, he wants to be a Raider. There's no doubt about it. But they're not going anywhere. I'm like, I watch this film every week. I text him every week. They don't have a quarterback, so that can win games right now. And so, is that a huge asset? It's a question, Jason. Of do you get rid of him? Well, you got great value for him, and you can use that as a piece to maybe get a quarterback next year, whoever that might be, and start turning this thing around.
They need a lot of help. They need a lot of help, and they tried to do it a certain way. Tried to rent a quarterback, tried to, do the Devontae Adams thing. Like, they probably need to go back to draft and develop and hit the reset button. And everybody has a price, and he doesn't have a no trade that I'm aware of. So I mean, it's ultimately up to Mark Davis. Like, people are calling, people are going to keep calling. And they need assets. Like
their quarterback play, Jason, is the worst. I mean, the quarterbacks, the two of them are averaging 5.5 yards an attempt. That should be up at least at 7.
Yeah.
The 6 touchdowns versus 10 interceptions right now. The running game has gone backwards. Brock Bowers is the one piece.
He's it. Yeah.
On the whole offense right now.
Yeah.
Fellas, we know as we talk about potential deals, and there's rumors out there about Myles Garrett and what Cleveland's going to do. Obviously, everybody's seeking pass rush. When stars want out, right? They want out, and they get it. If at any point Crosby goes, "I want out," we know what's going to happen, but that has yet to happen in this situation. Let's talk about Thursday night, because as we record this podcast, we're looking ahead to Thursday night football. Vikings at Rams. Fellas, I actually think this is going to be an interesting game. I mean, the Rams, as beat up as they are, have been competitive, Baldy. And, the Vikings, again, 5-1. But speaking of rumors, there's rumors this week about Matthew Stafford, not Puka Nacua, but Cooper Kupp potentially being traded. So here's Sean McVay, again, making something out of nothing as far as this season, as far as what he's been able to work with. I think this will be a competitive game. The spread, by the way, is 3. Jason, Minnesota, 48.5, over under. What do you guys like about this one?
Well, I mean, if there's one thing that Detroit is going to struggle with tonight, I believe, is Kyron Williams is a great player. He's just a great player. They got a rookie center, they got a young left guard. One thing we've seen from a Sean McVay team, they improve as the season goes on. I think these young defensive linemen are going to they're the right guys. So you got to play them, and you just got to keep they're going to impact these games. The one thing that Minnesota struggled with last week against Detroit in that loss was stopping Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And so if the Rams get their running game going, that's one way to keep that offense, which is ridiculously good. And Jared Goff is at an MVP level. I think he's missed 10 passes in 3 games. Something crazy like that. Like, he's playing as well as he's ever played. So, and he's going to see, I don't know. Like, I think that, Minnesota, they saw Goff last week just carve him up. And, can Stafford do that time? I think they can run the ball against him. And, look, Sam Darnold's playing well, but he's not invincible. He will throw one to the other team, and he will put the ball on the ground. So, to me, that's what Brian Flores' job is right now, is see if he can do that to Stafford.
Yeah, a lot of people out there are on the Rams. I just couldn't get there. I know this has moved to 3 at a lot of shops. I played Minnesota -2.5. I leaned to the under a little bit too, because as Baldy pointed out, I think it could be a run fest. I think both these teams are going to try to out physical the other and keep it simple, stupid. But the last 3 weeks, road favorites playing in the United States are 15-1 against the spread. The only one of them not to do the job were the Jets at Pittsburgh the other night. Minnesota's 7-1-3 against the spread on the road since the start of last year. They've covered by an average of 4.3 points. That's the 5th highest road cover margin in the NFL in that span. And I just think they're the better team. And I think the Rams' inability to stop the run will be a big problem here. And I like Aaron Jones, props, yardage, and scrimmage. I still think Jefferson gets his touchdown somewhere along the way. And I think Minnesota finds a way to navigate this and win by a field goal.
Yeah, I guess Justin Jefferson said it in the offseason. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. I guess he wasn't lying because he's got, already 533 yards. He's on his way to another 1,000-yard season, 5 touchdowns. To your point, he'll probably get another one this week. But I'm kind of leaning your way, Jason. I kind of agree with you on this because I think the Rams, to stay close, they need to run the football and to be successful in this one. Thursday Night Football, guys, it should be good. And here's the crazy thing, Baldy, real quick. This division, Seattle, Rams, the 49ers are beat up. Like, what we thought this might look like may not look like it at all. And then you have the Cardinals, who are great at home, and then they suck on the road. What's going to happen?
Well, the Cardinals have 3 wins against West Coast teams: San Francisco, the Rams, and Chargers. So if they can find another West Coast team, they do have to go to Miami this week. Yeah. I don't know. I guess Tua's going to go. That should make a difference. But it will make a difference. But, I mean, they are a gritty team. They just lost their best pass rusher, Dennis Gardeck for the season. They just keep losing key players. And so, but they are gritty. James Conner's having a great season. I'm only saying that about Arizona because if Arizona finds a way to win this game this weekend in Miami, like they're 4-4, they're right there. Yeah. And who knows? Like, it could be one of those seasons where 9-8 wins the division, 8-9 wins the division. Because San Francisco, maybe Ricky Pearsall, maybe Jacob Cowling, the 2 rookies, maybe they can supplant in some way Ayuk and Debo for a while. At one point, I saw Christian McCaffrey this week. Nobody knows. There's no timetable for when they're going to put him out there. So, like, he's the big missing piece in the red zone difficulties and explosive plays, all that. So they look like a team that's going to be a big player at the trade deadline to me.
Jason, let's talk about the Eagles-Bengals 1:00 window Sunday. This is another big game. How about Joe freaking Burrow, fellas? 1759, 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's playing out of his mind. I know the record doesn't speak to that because of what's happened, but here they are climbing their way back into it, right? This is what Cincinnati does. And Jason, I like Cincinnati at home here. I like them to beat the Eagles this weekend.
I have a tough time with the Bengals right now. I don't know who they are. Like, they scored, 38 on Baltimore, should have beat Baltimore, and I'm saying, all right, well, if nothing else, they figured out the offense. And I think the offensive line is stable. And this Chase Brown is interesting, and maybe they start running the ball. And then in 2 games since, they play the Giants and the Browns, good defenses. Baldy, they're 6 for 24 on third down the last 2 weeks. Like, 223 net yards against the Browns, 304 net yards against the Giants. Now, the defense looks better. They're not giving up 50 yards here and 60 yards there, but it's still not a very good red zone defense. So, like, I don't know what to make of them. And the Eagles have played the same 2 teams, right? The Giants and the Browns, not exactly murderer's row to kind of get themselves going. I'm watching this total, and this total keeps ticking up.
Okay.
And if this total gets to 48.5 or 49, I'm going under because I'm not sure I buy either of these offenses. I think it's a big game for Saquon in terms of volume. I'm looking at an Eagles team that's 9-3 to the under on the road since the start of last year, and I'm looking at a Bengals offense that I feel like has hit the skids a little bit. The Bengals have lost 4 straight home games as well that Joe Burrow has started. So I don't love this game from a betting perspective. I haven't done much with it. I probably will play it under, but I don't know how real either of these teams are, Baldy.
And by the way, that's why I like the Bengals. It's got to turn at some point, doesn't it? These home losses.
So this game is so critical for both teams. If the Eagles want to let everybody know that they're going to be the favorites in the NFC East, they have to go to Cincinnati and win. Cincinnati's won 2 in a row. You can argue that they had 10 points going into the 4th quarter against the Giants. They got the kickoff return last week to start the game. I mean, Burrow put up 2 touchdowns last week against Cleveland. Like, they struggled, and Burrow said that they struggled. This game is so interesting to me. The Eagles have played better defensively since they got blown out by Tampa. But I worry about this defense, especially in the back end, when they go up against an elite quarterback. And can they hold up against Jamar and T? And they're not a man coverage team the way Cleveland can do that. But the Eagles have to win. This Sirianni thing is not going to go away just because they won last week.
That's right.
They go up there and they do some dumb things and make some dumb decisions, and the Bengals get their third win in a row back into the playoff race. Like the same noise is going to come up again, And so you see the nice little cute conversation with Nick and Saquon, and you need 12 yards for your career best. You want it? Like he's placating the guys. And that's what he does. But that's not great. I don't know. Like the noise isn't going to go away. They lose. That chatter is right back up there. This game is so interesting on every level. And you're right, Jason. They've lost 4 in a row at home in Cincinnati. But it's not like they haven't played well.
Right.
We saw them against the Ravens. They played great defensively, offensively. They have gotten guys back. Sheldon Rankins is back. Miles Murphy is back. You look at what Trey Hendrickson is doing. Like, if it wasn't for Dexter Lawrence or some of these other guys that are at the top of the leaderboard, we'd be talking about how good Trey Hendrickson is. And he's going up against a backup tackle in Fred Johnson. And I don't think anybody is convinced that Jalen Hurts is going in the right direction. I know he threw a touchdown pass.
He's regressed. He's regressed, Baldy.
Regressed. And he just doesn't look confident to me. And so
it's Saquon's offense, right? I mean, the offense runs through Saquon. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their offense.
Yeah, Jalen's got to show it to me. Look, he threw a touchdown to AJ against a backup corner with the Giants. I don't know what the Giants were doing. He doubled a 13 tight end and left, AJ one-on-one. Jalen threw it to him. So, but AJ has that ability. Jamar Chase has that ability in Cincinnati. So this game is fascinating on every level because we're in the meat of the schedule now for everybody. What are you going to be? Are you going to be a playoff team, a team that contends for the playoffs to win the division? This game it teeters on that back and forth for both teams.
It's in the Huddle, guys. Subscribe, like us, tell your friends, and of course, you can watch us on YouTube in the Huddle Pod. Carl Dukes, Brian Baldinger, Jason Lock-on-4. We put new episodes out each and every week. We talk NFL. I just want to bring this up only because he's playing so damn well, and I don't know if they have a letdown, Jason. And of course, I'm talking about the Ravens. They go play the Browns. Jameis is taking over. They played great against the Bucs. Any letdown here?
I don't think so offensively. I mean, look, it's a division game, and the Browns are a better defense than some of what they've seen lately. But I don't know how you stop them. Like I really don't. This one will be interesting to me though, Baldy, because we've talked a lot on the show about Ravens heavy personnel and how they're destroying people, throwing the ball and running the ball at a 21, at a 22, at a 12, at a 13. If you study the Cleveland Browns defense, getting heavy against them hasn't gotten you anywhere. They're number one against that stuff, against the run. They're allowing under 3 yards a carry. You want to try to beat them up with your big boys. And Derrick Henry in his career averages 3.1 yards per carry against the Cleveland Browns. But the Cleveland Browns, if you get into 11 and you get your speed people out there and you run at them that way, you run at them at a spread with 3 wide receivers on the field, few teams get gutted more than the Cleveland Browns that way. And I'm not saying that they can't do it with Derrick Henry out of 11, but like, is Pat Ricard on the field as much? I don't know. Does Justice Hill see a lot of the ball in this game? I don't know. Does Lamar run for 100? I don't know, but I ain't going to say no with what they're doing right now.
Well,
like, I am interested about that part of the matchup, but Ravens, over-unders, just go, oh, that's an automatic. When that comes out at the beginning of the week, and this one came out at 42.5, just jump the over. Like, jump the over. 9-3 to the over since the start of last season. And Ravens games this year, guys, are averaging 56.86 points. Most in the NFL.
Well, we've gone this long, and we haven't mentioned the MVP of this league, and it's Lamar. Like, he's just improved in every area that you can. I never thought, like, I was always a Lamar fan, but I never thought he could throw the ball this good. The throw to Rashad Bateman, like that throw, I mean, first of all, he's beaten a free hitter that, Todd Bowles schemes up. He's coming right at him. He avoids him like it's nothing. And then he's pointing to Rashad where to go. And just the way that he threw the ball, he's like, they can have two guys over Rashad down the field, but Rashad's going to be able to see the ball first, and he's going to react, and he does. It's every throw right now. I said last week on this thing, Lamar can miss a throw. Now he had 5 misses. 2 of them were drops last week. He can miss a throw, but he's not missing a read.
No. That
guy is seeing the field as well as Joe Burrow, as well as anybody in this whole business right now, which is remarkable to me. And maybe that's – and then you look at how locked in he is. You watch him on the sideline. He's not one of these guys that makes a mistake. He goes, watches the video. He doesn't do anything. He's just locked in.
He's engaged.
And look, I think Derrick Henry is the benefactor of Lamar right now, because we've seen Derrick struggle in Tennessee. But now with Lamar, the way he's playing, pick your poison. I don't know what you do against this offense. Defensively, Marley got the interceptions last week. That was huge. But for the most part, they're going to give up some points.
They got some things to fix. Yes.
Jameis play action bombs away. What is he? No risk it, no biscuit. What's he got to lose? Right? I mean, David Njoku, jump on David Njoku props. They've had trouble over the years with Njoku, especially Njoku with Flacco last year. It took off. Cedric Tillman, that seems to be Jameis's guy. No Marlon Humphrey this week. I'm just – and the Ravens' fourth quarter defense is an abject failure. Even when they're up big, they don't know how to handle garbage time, Baldy. So that's why I'm just playing the over.
They've given up 84 points in the fourth quarter. Has anybody given up more this whole league?
Jacksonville's second with 69. They've given 25 more points than anybody else in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some things to fix. There's no doubt about it. No letdown, according to the guys. I agree. I think they beat the Browns despite the fact that, maybe Jameis gives them a little bit of a spark. We talked about Tua, and we got to talk about this game. You guys, you know how I feel. I feel like the kid should take a year off, right? I feel like he should really do the evaluation. I know he's been all around the country and talking to neuro guys and all this stuff. I heard him say this week, fellas, I'm willing to take the risk. So here we are. Tua's back, and now here come the Cardinals at home against a team that's been struggling in so many ways. Can he get them righted? Can he make the ship right, Baldy, and get them back on the right track?
Well, right now, after 6 games, Tyreek Hill has less than 400 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. He's invisible. He's averaging less than 50 yards a game right now. Last year at this time, he had over 800 yards and 6 touchdowns. He's just gone away. Now, they can still run the ball with 3 different backs that all have great speed. But we could debate Tua all day. It's an easier decision to make if you're 29 years old about the rest of your life. But I know too many guys that made the wrong decision, and they said, I'm willing to risk it. And I've talked to guys who have concussions, and they're like, I signed up for this. Okay. That's easy to say when you're young. It's just when you get to 40, 50, and these guys are really struggling, and they do. And we don't talk about it because that's not what nobody wants to hear. But it's real. He's a great person. He's got a great life. But if he's going to play, he's going to play. He's going to make a difference. He'll get the ball. The way that he gets rid of the ball, his accuracy, all that shouldn't change. So the offense should, and especially against Arizona, that has very little pass rush. Their secondary did play very good last week, but they haven't seen Hill and Waddle and an accurate thrower. So I expect Miami to wake up and, win this game. And, I would expect the passing game to look formidable right now.
Baldy, I Tua's a really good quarterback. Obviously, he's very accurate. He reads the field. He's the rhythm tempo guy that, McDaniel wants to set up Yak. But I got to ask, if this guy's an offensive guru, 6 offensive touchdowns, you still have Mostert. You still have a chain. You still have Waddle. You still have Tyreek Hill. I don't think Tyler Huntley's that great, but you picked him. You wanted him. I'm not a big Skylar Thompson guy, but there's backup quarterbacks everywhere. Your offensive guru said, yeah, Skylar Thompson will be fine. Last in the league with 6 offensive touchdowns. Last in the league, 11.7 points per game. Last in the league scoring a touchdown on 8.8% of their drives. Last in the league, 1.01 points per drive.
Yeah.
Should it have been that bad with that talent? It should, should you have been worse than the Cleveland Browns with Deshaun Watson, or worse than Daniel Jones and what they've got going on with a beat-up Giants team with no Malik Neighbors? You're that much worse than everybody else because you lost Tua?
No, look, I mean, it wasn't a well-constructed team. They didn't look at the backup quarterback well enough, especially with the injury history to Tua. I know he played every game last year, but that's 1 year out of his entire career, and that's who you decide to go with. So, like, it's on Mike. I mean, he's the general manager. He's picking his players. It's on him. The general manager is going to listen to the head coach, and they got it wrong. And they didn't. If you're going to go get Tyler Huntley, out of Cleveland, okay, the offense was terrible.
Run the ball 45 times. Then you can do it. Outside zone them to death. Like what? Yeah. I don't get it. I don't get how they're that miserable. They couldn't score 14 points a game and maybe win a game or two while Tua's out. Like that seems like malpractice to me.
They are a 3.5 point favorite going into this weekend.
I'm taking the points here, by the way.
Yeah, I agree.
Kyler Murray playing in the 1:00 kickoffs is 13-6 against the spread. Kyler Murray is 18-6-2 against the spread as a road dog. And this keeps ticking up because more money's coming in on the Dolphins because it's looking more and more like it's going to be Tua. I think the thing will get to 4, maybe even 4.5. But I think Arizona can win the game. I think they can run on Miami a little bit as well. And I like Kyler in these spots where everybody's on the other team and no one's paying attention to him. I don't know. Arizona to me.
I think the one thing that's weird to me about Arizona is how little impact Marvin Harrison has made.
Yeah.
Like they literally, it's so weird. Like you can see Brian Thomas Jr., he might end up being the rookie of the year. That kid's phenomenal.
Yeah.
You saw Malik Neighbors when he was healthy, even with Daniel Jones, what he was doing. But even Roma Dunze is having a good season, and it's picking up, as you would expect, as Caleb got better. Right now, Marvin Harrison has had, outside of the one game where he had the 2 touchdowns, has had no impact. In fact, he looks invisible to me. It doesn't look like they have any idea how to get him the ball, and he doesn't look special.
No.
The way we saw 3 years at Ohio State. It's a conundrum to me how he's had so little impact in these games.
And so let's talk about what's going on in Pittsburgh and relate this to what you're saying, Baldy, because all of a sudden, George Pickens now is talking about working extra after practice with Russell Wilson. They connect, right? And now you feel like, they got the secret handshake after the touchdown. You feel like all right, Russ is going to look for him, and Russ is going to make him the guy that we think he can be. I don't know if that's going on in Arizona. Like, where's the connection between Kyler and Harrison, to your point? But let's move on and talk about the Steelers, because maybe Mike Tomlin does make all the big bucks for a reason, huh? I mean, my goodness. The difference in that offense and what it looked like versus what we saw with Justin, who they were winning. I said, Baldy, I wouldn't have made the change, but they did. And now does this elevate them and take them to the next spot?
Well, maybe, just maybe, that Mike T made the decision before they played the Jets and Giants, which are completely dysfunctional outfits, right?
It's true.
So maybe he was looking at the schedule going, if we're going to get Russell going and we're going to get him cooking a little bit, maybe we'll put him against 2 of the more dysfunctional organizations in this league. And maybe the timing was just right. Now, Pickens went 6 games out catching a touchdown pass. Russell comes in, he catches it. He's kind of an odd player, this George Pickens. We see the talent, but it's just like he makes these splash catches, and then he seems to be invisible. So let's just see how they integrate him here against the Giants team. I saw a Giants defensive back walk off the field while Saquon was running the ball last week. We all saw it. I saw the coach of the Giants screaming in his ear. It made when I see that, I go, what level of dysfunction is going on with the Giants team? It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing for the organization at home, to the defense, Shane Bowen, who's a good coordinator. But I mean, when I see that, I go, what's going on during the week?
Yeah. Daniel Jones is 1-14 in his career in prime time. Straight up 6-9 against the spread, but it's hard to go 1-14 at anything, tiddlywinks,
checkers,
getting out of bed in the morning without twisting your ankle, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't back the Giants here. That's also though a big number for me for the Steelers. So one way I would think about playing this game is watch the first half, monitor the live line. The Pittsburgh Steelers in the second half of games this season, gentlemen, have a plus 68 point differential. That is number one in the NFL. And we saw that bear out right last week where they win the final 2 minutes of the first half and then they take over the second half. The New York Giants have a minus 33 point differential in the second half. That is third worst in the NFL. Coaching does matter. Adjustments matter. I love what Pittsburgh special teams is doing. I think Pittsburgh will find a lot of joy running the ball on these guys. I think Jalen Warren, he looked the best I've seen him in a long time last week. I think he sees a lot of the ball in this game as well. I'm interested in playing some of his props. But this is a game I'll probably bet. I'll be more comfortable betting live. But I will say the Steelers are 8-2 against the spread their last 10. Steelers are 9-5 against the spread their last 14 at home. Steelers are 8-2 against the spread their last 10 in prime time. But 6.5, 7 is a little bit of a big number for me.
Well, this week, John Mara of the Giants came out and said that there will be no coaching changes. But if in some time your crowd is booing your team.
I got this new laptop.
There's no worse thing for any owner in this league than if you're in prime time at home and your fans are booing and then leaving. Like if that happens, the noise, when it gets ratcheted up like that, that gets the owner's attention. Like you can't hide from that. You can't run from that. And you can talk about, okay, they lost the best player, Andrew Thomas. That's true. Like it's unfortunate, but it happened last year too. And they couldn't really reconcile it. So they didn't do anything in the offensive line this year, even though they lost the center and they didn't address it. So that's on the general manager. That's on the coach. They drafted a guy, Evan Neal, with the 7th pick in this draft. He played left tackle at Alabama. Like you can't get the 7th pick in the draft to go play left tackle. Like he played an entire year for Nick Saban at left tackle. It's not like he hasn't lined up there. I know what Mr. Mara said this week.
Mm-hmm.
I just know, and Carl, you're in Atlanta. I know what Arthur Smith is like. Or Arthur Blank is like. There's nothing.
He knows Arthur Smith too. Unfortunately,
he picks up the pace at home in prime time.
Yeah, it's true. It's a fact. There's no doubt. And Arthur Smith. Listen, give him credit, right? I don't know. Check that. We know Mike Tomlin made this decision. Give Arthur Smith credit for making it work, right? I mean, sometimes the OC just goes, this is crap. Arthur Smith's like, whatever you want, I'll make it happen. And he made it look good. So I'll give him credit there as far as the Steelers. I like the Steelers.
Baldy, along those lines, though, once Russ gets his ego in check and everybody knows it's Russ's team, right? And you want to give him a couple, don't you need to get Justin Fields in there? Like 3rd and goal from the 8. Why is that not Justin Fields package? 1st and goal from the 3. Why is that not a Justin Fields package? 4th and 1 from the 30 plus 35. Why is that not a Justin Fields package?
So if you want a comp to that, just think about what Sean Payton did with Taysom Hill and a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right.
There was plays where Drew Brees went to wide receiver, went off the field. Taysom Hill took it over. If you could do that with a Hall of Fame quarterback and Drew Brees and say this is a good decision, then I certainly think Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin can sign off on a guy as talented as Justin Fields.
Yeah, great point, Baldy. That's the Monday night game, by the way, and we just kind of, slid into that Giants-Steelers game, but that's Monday night. Let's talk about Sunday night because the Cowboys are back. Jason, don't say anything. Here come the Cowboys. Jerry went on in Dallas this week, said, hey, everything's fine. I know we're not playing well. He did not apologize to Shannon RJ, who he basically threatened their jobs last week, which is a whole nother conversation. But, fellas, Cowboys on the road, 4.5 points, 45.5. You see the number there. So what happens after the beatdown from the Lions in a bye week?
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, a lot of teams don't play well coming out of the bye. They look flat. And a lot of teams talk about it. We'll see what happens in Chicago this week, in Washington. They got to go through that. But honestly, the issues with the Cowboys are the issues. I mean, running the football, playing 2 rookie linemen, defensively, they're a mess. Teams that want to run the football against them. I'm sure that's going to be the 49ers game plan because it's what they do best minus these receivers right now. So can they handle a steady dose of Jordan Mason against an offensive line that's still pretty good at running the ball? Mason's still the second leading rusher in this league. Like that's always going to be the challenge in Dallas right now. Because it doesn't go away. It just keeps showing up, going back to Green Bay's playoff loss, the Cowboys, the Ravens. You can look at these Detroit, these teams that run the ball well. Dallas looks like they're indefensible to stop them.
I know they've had injuries, Jason, but you haven't bought them from day one, and you don't buy them this weekend either.
Now, look, the 49ers got big problems too, but I think this is a team where they can reestablish their physicality, lean on Trent Williams. Trent, you don't need to do anything in practice this week, buddy, but we're running the ball 45 times, and about 35 of them are going to be behind you. We're just letting you know. Look, Brock Purdy. I don't know what happened to Brock Purdy. He's holding the ball longer than any quarterback in the NFL. His scramble rate is going from 8% to 25%. Now he thinks he's a running quarterback. He's turning the ball over in the red zone. He has as many interceptions this season as he had last year heading into the Week 16 matchup against the Baltimore Ravens. As far as I know, it's only week 8. I think they're taking the ball out of his hands. I think they're saying enough of that stuff. Like, Mason, strap it up. Like, Dallas can't stay. Like, we're going to get Kyle Juszczyk, you might play every snap this week, brother. 6th offensive lineman. We're leaning into some of that. We're just going to finish drives on the ground. Like, I think that's where it's at. I think San Francisco wins this game by a touchdown or more. I think they make Dallas play from behind. Dallas is turning the ball over. You take away CeeDee Lamb. Who else can beat you? We'll find out. So that's where I am on this game. I don't love either of these teams right now.
Yeah.
But I think San Francisco could reestablish their identity and what they're going to have to be until they get McCaffrey back, until they do something at the deadline. But I think this is a team that they can do it against. They beat them 42-10 last year. They ran the ball 41 times. I bet they run it closer to 50 in this one.
Yeah. No Brandon Ayuk, guys. Great stuff. Guys, enjoy the games. We're back next week to talk about it. We're literally at the halfway point. As we said, we're finding out more about these teams. Either you're legit or you're not, and we're at that point in the season. Baldy, have a great day. Jason, we'll talk to you soon. Guys, thanks for being here. It's In the Huddle.